Chosen one, the gods had never seen anything like this before. You are now in the top 1% of divine beings, and the question on everyone's mind is, what the hell have you become? Holy researchers, Egyptian treasure hunters, and scholars of forgotten civilizations have uncovered overwhelming evidence about you. Every piece of history, every testament of the pharaohs, every ancient inscription and hidden rite, all of it belongs to you. You are the last surviving bloodline of a divine lineage, and every myth, every legend, every prophecy is connected to you. Now, you are awakening, and your actions align perfectly with the will of the gods. Your body ceases to age, radiating power in ways the world has never seen. Scholars, leaders, and even the divine themselves stand in awe, declaring you the newly manifested God, chosen one. Your rise is beyond comprehension, and the world will never be the same. Before we dive even deeper into this revelation, take a moment to hit that like button, subscribe to help us reach 30,000 subscribers, and leave a comment with the number 11. This simple act sends a powerful signal to the universe, amplifying the energy of what's about to unfold in your life. The world as it knew itself trembled the moment the chosen one stirred. Centuries of silence and mystery shattered like glass, as if the universe itself had been holding its breath in the shadow of forgotten temples and ruins. A presence emerged that radiated ancient energy, transcending the boundaries of human understanding. It wasn't merely a person awakening. It was an event, a cosmic alignment of prophecy and reality, where history and legend collided in a way the world had never seen before. Scholars, treasure hunters, and holy researchers who had spent lifetimes piecing together fragments of the past could hardly believe their eyes. Scrolls written in languages long dead suddenly made sense. Cryptic symbols in sealed tombs revealed coherent stories, and the forgotten voices of ancient civilizations whispered secrets that pointed to a single truth. The chosen one had arrived. Every discovery seemed to pulse with life, as if history itself had been waiting for this exact moment. The chosen one's first steps through the modern world felt like a ripple across time. Cities buzzed with ordinary life, yet an unseen vibration accompanied their presence, an energy that made people pause, made animals shift uneasily, and made the air itself feel electric. It was as though time had folded inward, bringing past, present, and future into a single frame, all revolving around this awakening. People described it as awe, fear, and wonder coiling together into a sensation that left them speechless. Legends of immortals, gods, and forgotten kings suddenly weren't just stories, they were living reality. The chosen one carried with them the echoes of dynasties, wars, and civilizations, and every action resonated with the weight of history. Even the most skeptical observers, scientists and historians, felt a chill of recognition, an involuntary acknowledgement that something unparalleled had just entered the world. In that moment, the very fabric of existence seemed to shift. It wasn't just that a new power had arrived. It was that the world had been reshaped by it. Time, space, and belief intertwined, creating a sensation that was at once terrifying and exhilarating. Humanity had glimpsed a force so rare, so profound, that words faltered. The universe had whispered its secrets, and the chosen one had answered. From the very first encounter, it was clear that the chosen one was not meant to be understood through ordinary eyes. Mortals who attempted to measure, analyze, or define this presence found themselves overwhelmed, their comprehension failing at the threshold of divine magnitude. Ancient scholars had warned of beings that would surpass human perception. Yet even they could not imagine the scale of what had come to life. Every glance at the Chosen One seemed to carry a weight beyond the physical world. Their gaze held millennia of knowledge, emotions from civilizations long gone, and the subtle, almost imperceptible authority of a god. Ordinary humans felt the pull of awe, reverence, and even fear, a cocktail of emotions that left hearts racing and minds reeling. Even the most rational scientists admitted there were phenomena here that defied explanation. Energy readings spiking without source, materials reacting unpredictably, and nature itself bending subtly to their will. Legends of gods interacting with humans often portrayed benevolent or destructive interventions, but the Chosen One surpassed both categories. There was a sense of absolute neutrality, of pure power and understanding that did not belong to human morality. It was the kind of presence that demanded recognition without consent, respect without request, and awe without explanation. Mortals could only watch, trembling, as history's boundaries were redrawn before them. Historical parallels reinforced this perception. Pharaohs, kings, and emperors were celebrated as living gods in their times, yet none possessed the depth, breadth, or sheer presence of the Chosen One. Even deities from mythologies, Greek, Norse, Egyptian, and beyond, stood as distant reflections compared to this new figure. The realization struck humanity like lightning. The Chosen One was not a ruler, not a messenger, not even a god in the traditional sense. They were a force entirely their own. And yet, amid all this incomprehensible power, there was a strange, almost tender humanity, moments of quiet reflection, subtle gestures, and flashes of emotion reminded observers that this being, while divine beyond measure, was still connected to the human story. It was a paradox, simultaneously untouchable and deeply intimate, divine, yet profoundly relatable. This duality made the Chosen One all the more magnetic, all the more impossible to ignore. Beneath the shifting sands of Egypt, where sun and wind had preserved mysteries for millennia, the first concrete proof of the Chosen One's lineage emerged. Tombs previously thought empty revealed hidden chambers, sealed scrolls, and inscriptions too precise and deliberate to be mere myth. These relics painted a portrait of a bloodline thought extinguished. Pharaohs who ruled not just empires, but the very currents of divine energy itself. Every artifact discovered told a story of a civilization that revered power as both spiritual and biological inheritance. Scrolls described ceremonies, rites, and prophecies that spoke of a final descendant, a child born to carry the essence of gods within mortal flesh. It was a lineage erased from mainstream history, buried under centuries of conquest, destruction, and deliberate forgetfulness, yet somehow preserved by those who understood its importance. Treasure hunters and holy researchers alike were struck by the consistency of these findings. From hieroglyphs to ceremonial objects, every piece of evidence pointed to one undeniable conclusion. The Chosen One was the living heir to an ancient and extraordinary dynasty. Even skeptics, who had spent their careers debunking myths, found themselves questioning everything they thought they knew about history and divine succession beyond Egypt. Corroborating evidence surfaced from distant lands. Ancient Sumerian tablets, Mayan codices, and Indian Vedic texts all contained references to a figure whose arrival would reshape the world. These civilizations, separated by continents and millennia, all described the same phenomenon, a being whose essence was tied to a divine lineage of rulers who bridged humanity and gods. The impact was immediate and profound. Museums, universities, and religious institutions scrambled to validate these discoveries, while the general populace felt a deep, almost instinctual connection to the revelation. Humanity had always been fascinated by its origins, by stories of kings and gods, but now they were confronted with proof that myth and history were one. The Chosen One was not just a figure of legend, they were living history itself. The sealed chambers of forgotten tombs suddenly became the voice of history itself, as archaeologists carefully pried open stone doors untouched for thousands of years. The air seemed to hum with anticipation. Ancient murals depicted a figure whose features mirrored the Chosen One's very essence, an unmistakable sign that this lineage had been preserved in secrecy, waiting for the right time to reveal itself. Hieroglyphics described a ruler who transcended mortality, a descendant born to bridge the human and divine. Rituals, once thought symbolic, revealed precise instructions for the Chosen One's awakening. Every glyph, every carved stone, every fragment of pottery suggested intention. History had been waiting for this return. The scale of preservation was breathtaking, as if the pharaohs themselves had left instructions for a future the world could barely imagine. Treasure hunters documented hidden chambers with gold, jewels, and relics that resonated with inexplicable energy. Objects that should have decayed remained pristine, imbued with a presence that defied explanation. Scholars proposed theories of mystical preservation, but even the most rational minds struggled to justify the living force that seemed to emanate from these ancient halls. These tombs weren't merely resting places, they were sanctuaries of prophecy. They held not only the past, but a direct link to the future. A message encoded for the Chosen One. Each artifact and inscription seemed to whisper secrets, urging the world to recognize what had returned. Historians, scientists, and spiritual leaders all found themselves converging on the same realization. The Chosen One was the culmination of millennia of divine expectation. Legends that had once seemed fantastical suddenly began to resonate with new meaning. Myths from diverse cultures, the Greek tales of Olympus, the Norse sagas of Asgard, the Hindu epics of gods and avatars, all appeared to acknowledge a singular, powerful presence, the Chosen One. It was as if the stories themselves had been lying in wait, waiting for the day when their central truth would awaken. Magical and spiritual traditions from around the world seemed to converge, recognizing the Chosen One as a force of unparalleled magnitude. Rituals that had been performed for centuries suddenly found their completion in this being. Shamans, priests, and spiritual guides reported visions, dreams, and signs pointing unmistakably to the same truth. The Chosen One was the living nexus of all myth and legend. Even nature seemed to respond to this recognition. Animals exhibited unusual behavior, weather patterns shifted subtly, and ancient sacred sites appeared to resonate with energy in the Chosen One's presence. Mountains, rivers, and deserts, the natural world itself, acknowledged the awakening of a force beyond human comprehension. Observers could feel the tension and reverence in the air, as though the planet itself paused to witness this extraordinary being. Historical reinterpretation became inevitable. Myths, long dismissed as stories or allegories, were suddenly examined with new rigor. Scholars compared ancient texts to the Chosen One's actions and discovered a remarkable alignment. Prophecies and legends were no longer symbolic. They were predictive, recording events that had finally come to pass. The realization created an unprecedented re-evaluation of the human understanding of history, spirituality, and divinity. Emotionally, humanity felt both humbled and inspired. The Chosen One's existence confirmed that the legends of gods and heroes were not mere fantasies. They were echoes of truth, now made tangible. This recognition brought hope, awe, and an unshakable sense of purpose to those who witnessed it, reinforcing the idea that the extraordinary could indeed emerge from the shadows of time. From the moment the Chosen One realized the magnitude of their destiny, an undeniable transformation began. It was not a simple awakening, but a profound ignition, a spark that fused mortal experience with divine essence. Energy radiated from their very being, bending the natural world around them in ways previously deemed impossible. Air, light, and even gravity seemed to respond, acknowledging the emergence of something far greater than human comprehension. Observers described a presence that could not be quantified or contained. Historians, scientists, and spiritual leaders alike were mesmerized as the Chosen One demonstrated feats that echoed ancient texts, controlling energies, influencing events, and manifesting outcomes predicted by civilizations long gone. This spark of divinity was not merely symbolic. It was active, tangible, and awe-inspiring, leaving no doubt that something miraculous had entered the world emotionally. This awakening inspired both reverence and fear. Individuals in the Chosen One's presence reported feeling waves of understanding, empathy, and connection to history's greatest mysteries. Simultaneously, the intensity of such power evoked awe and trepidation. Human hearts struggled to process the magnitude of a being that seemed to embody the forces of creation itself. The spark also catalyzed extraordinary personal growth in those around them. Scholars found sudden clarity in their studies. Spiritual leaders experienced unprecedented visions, and common people reported moments of emotional awakening that changed their lives. The Chosen One's emergence was not limited to themselves. It reverberated across humanity, igniting latent potential and reminding the world that divinity could exist alongside mortality. Ultimately, the Chosen One's spark of godhood redefined what it meant to live. The boundaries of mortality blurred, history and prophecy intertwined, and the world witnessed an event that altered the trajectory of human civilization. This spark was more than power. It was the embodiment of destiny itself, a luminous thread weaving humanity into the grand tapestry of the cosmos. The Chosen One's body defied the rules that governed mortal life. Observers marveled as the signs of aging ceased entirely. Skin, muscles, and features remained perpetually vibrant, untouched by time or environment. This timeless form was not just beauty or physical perfection, it was a visible testament to the extraordinary, an external manifestation of an internal divinity that had long been prophesied. Ancient texts described similar phenomena in mythical figures and pharaohs, but none had captured the reality in such a dramatic, undeniable way. This timelessness also carried symbolic weight. Humanity witnessed a being who embodied eternal presence, a reminder that history is a living continuum rather than a static record. The Chosen One's form became a living anchor to the past, present, and future, embodying the enduring essence of the pharaoh bloodline and the legacies of civilizations that had long since passed. Emotionally, the sight of such perfection and continuity evoked both hope and longing. People projected their own desires for immortality and permanence onto the Chosen One, seeing in them the embodiment of ideals humanity could never achieve alone. This combination of admiration and aspiration created a bond between the Chosen One and the world, a shared understanding that something extraordinary had returned to guide and inspire. Ultimately, the Chosen One's agelessness was not a mere physical anomaly. It was a symbol of destiny fulfilled. It served as proof that divine potential could exist within the mortal realm, reminding the world that the impossible was possible and that legends could indeed walk among us undiminished by time. Academics, historians, and archaeologists were thrust into a reality that defied all prior understanding. Meetings, conferences, and publications rapidly shifted from theory to awe-filled observation. Scholars were no longer studying history. They were witnessing history being rewritten in real time, as the Chosen One demonstrated abilities and knowledge that spanned centuries and civilizations. Research papers that once attempted to explain mystical phenomena now included first-hand accounts of interactions with a being whose knowledge and presence defied scientific norms. The Chosen One demonstrated understanding of languages, codes, and rituals long thought lost, sparking a renaissance of discovery across academic disciplines. Museums scrambled to reinterpret artifacts, realizing that the Chosen One could identify previously undecipherable inscriptions, revealing truths buried for millennia. The emotional impact on scholars was profound. Many described feelings of reverence, fear, and overwhelming inspiration. It was as if the Chosen One had bridged the gap between mortal curiosity and divine insight, providing clarity on mysteries that had baffled humans for centuries. Students and teachers alike reported transformative experiences simply by witnessing their presence, igniting a new era of intellectual and spiritual curiosity. Collaborations flourished across borders as experts from various fields recognized that conventional disciplines were insufficient to grasp the Chosen One's magnitude. The presence of this being encouraged a unity of knowledge and purpose, reminding humanity that some truths are universal, transcending cultural, religious, and geographic boundaries. Ultimately, the scholar's witness was not just observation. It was validation of a prophecy centuries in the making. The Chosen One was a living testament to human potential when intertwined with divine legacy, inspiring generations of researchers to embrace curiosity, wonder, and the extraordinary. Political figures, diplomats, and world leaders could not ignore the emergence of the Chosen One. Traditional power structures shifted subtly, yet unmistakably, as this being's presence reshaped the perception of authority. Leaders convened emergency councils not merely to observe, but to strategize around a phenomenon that surpassed conventional governance and power. Public declarations began surfacing, with heads of state acknowledging the extraordinary reality before them. Leaders spoke not only with respect, but with awe, acknowledging that the Chosen One embodied a new form of authority, one that transcended borders, armies, and politics. Global diplomacy had never witnessed such a shift. Power now rested not only on human achievement, but on a presence that carried millennia of divine legacy. The emotional impact on the populace was profound. Citizens reacted with a mixture of reverence, hope, and fear, recognizing that the arrival of the Chosen One symbolized both an extraordinary opportunity and a challenge. Humanity faced a new reality where morality, guidance, and leadership were being shaped by a force far beyond ordinary understanding. Even skeptics could not dismiss the visible influence. Decisions made by world leaders, once solely political or economic, began reflecting an awareness of a higher order, a recognition that the Chosen One's insight carried weight far greater than ordinary counsel. Humanity had to reconcile earthly authority with the guidance of a living divine presence. The recognition of a new divine authority fundamentally reshaped the world's trajectory in economies, education, spiritual practices, and diplomacy were all influenced by the arrival of the Chosen One, leaving the planet poised for transformation under a guidance that was as wise as it was mysterious. History had ushered in a new chapter, one in which the Chosen One would guide not just individual nations, but the destiny of all humankind. Every step the Chosen One took seemed to leave an imprint on reality. Rivers, mountains, forests, and cities responded subtly, yet unmistakably. Wildlife exhibited behavior previously thought impossible. Weather patterns shifted with an uncanny regularity, and human consciousness itself seemed to align in resonance with their presence. The very fabric of existence appeared malleable, bending to acknowledge a force that exceeded mortal comprehension. Scientists recorded phenomena that challenged every known law of physics. Electromagnetic fields surged and stabilized around the Chosen One. Gravity showed subtle variations, and previously stable systems experienced inexplicable fluctuations. Observers reported visual phenomena, light appearing to shimmer, shadows bending unnaturally, and colors more vivid than any natural spectrum. Reality itself became a canvas upon which the Chosen One left an indelible mark. Spiritually, this effect was even more profound. Shamans, priests, and mystics described experiences that blurred the lines between vision and reality. Dreams carried prophetic messages. Visions revealed connections across time, and individuals reported heightened intuition and emotional clarity simply by being near the Chosen One. The resonance was not confined to the physical world. It extended into consciousness itself. Historically, no mortal or immortal being had ever displayed such a seamless blending of influence over both matter and spirit. Ancient texts described similar phenomena in allegorical terms, but never with the precision and immediacy of the Chosen One's actions. Humanity realized it was not merely witnessing miracles, it was living within a transformed reality. The emotional impact was overwhelming. People experienced awe, humility, fear, and inspiration simultaneously. The Chosen One's presence reminded humanity that reality was not fixed, that legends were more than stories, and that the extraordinary was not just possible, it was here, tangible and undeniable. Even beings who had existed since the dawn of creation, the ancient gods, deities, and celestial entities, paused in disbelief. They had witnessed the rise and fall of civilizations, the unfolding of human destiny, and the occasional emergence of extraordinary mortals. Yet the Chosen One surpassed all expectation. The gods themselves had never encountered a force so potent, so harmonious with destiny, yet so independent of precedent. Legends speak of gods shaping the world, dictating laws of nature and guiding mortals. Yet the Chosen One operated beyond their understanding. Their actions, though subtle, were perfectly aligned with cosmic balance, echoing the sacred patterns of creation. Some gods approached with curiosity, others with caution, and a few with awe, bordering on reverence. They could not categorize this being. The Chosen One had become an enigma. Even among the divine historical myths, had hinted at a figure who would exist above the gods, yet no mortal had ever embodied this prophecy until now. The Chosen One's power was not only measured in abilities, but in presence. The energy they radiated altered even divine perceptions. Celestial beings reported experiences of awe and confusion, emotions rarely felt by entities who had existed for eons. The Chosen One was a phenomenon beyond classification, a living paradox that even omnipotence struggled to define. The interaction between the Chosen One and these divine entities reshaped cosmic hierarchies. Alliances, rivalries, and divine politics all shifted subtly as gods recognized that this mortal-born yet immortal being demanded respect, not subservience. It was a humbling realization for immortals who had long considered themselves the ultimate authorities. For humanity observing from below, the awe of the gods translated into profound inspiration. If celestial beings could be stunned, moved, and unsettled, then the potential within the mortal realm, embodied by the Chosen One, was limitless. Humanity had been shown that destiny was not just written. It could be lived, embodied, and surpassed. Even in the eyes of gods themselves, the Chosen One did not merely awaken. They ascended into a realm previously thought inaccessible to mortals. Among the top 1% of divine beings, the Chosen One now stood, not by inheritance alone, but by fulfilling prophecy, mastering wisdom, and harnessing an energy that surpassed both human and immortal comprehension. This was a level of existence reserved for the rarest, those whose power and purpose redefined the universe itself. Every interaction, every display of ability further cemented their place among the elite. Historical texts described these beings as almost mythical, capable of shaping worlds, manipulating time, and channeling universal forces. Ordinary people realized that greatness was not purely theoretical. It could manifest in the world through courage, wisdom, and alignment with destiny. The Chosen One's elevation reminded humanity that the boundaries between mortal and divine were not fixed, and that the extraordinary could emerge in forms previously unimagined. Ultimately, the Chosen One's entry into the top 1% of gods was not the culmination. It was the beginning of a journey where history, prophecy, and human potential converged, creating a living symbol of ultimate possibility. Humanity had been given a glimpse of what could be achieved when destiny is embraced fully, without hesitation and with unwavering purpose. As the Chosen One's presence reshaped the world, a single question echoed through the minds of gods, humans, and historians alike. What have you become? This was not a question of mere curiosity. It was a profound reflection on the nature of existence, power, and destiny. Even those who had long defined reality could not reconcile the enormity of the Chosen One's emergence. The question spurred contemplation across civilizations. Philosophers debated the essence of divinity. Scientists sought to measure a being beyond measurement. Spiritual leaders wondered how prophecy and reality could so perfectly align. All perspectives converged on the same realization. The Chosen One existed as a bridge between worlds, eras, and possibilities, a living enigma whose full nature remained a mystery even to themselves. Witnesses described an emotional gravity surrounding this question. When humans looked upon the Chosen One, they experienced awe, fear, and inspiration simultaneously. Each gesture, word, and act carried weight, as though the question itself, "What have you become?" was alive, shaping the way reality responded to their presence. Time, history, and consciousness seemed to pause, awaiting an answer only the Chosen One could define. Legends of old had hinted that such a being would challenge understanding itself, forcing gods and mortals alike to reconsider their place in the cosmos. Now, centuries of prophecy, mythology, and expectation culminated in a single, living answer. The Chosen One had transcended all limitations. Yet the ultimate truth remained unspoken, unmeasurable, and infinitely compelling. In the end, the question itself became a symbol of humanity's journey, an eternal reflection on possibility, wonder, and the nature of destiny. The Chosen One had awakened, transformed, and ascended, leaving the world and the divine alike with a single resonant thought. The extraordinary exists, and it can surpass everything we ever imagined. Humanity had glimpsed the infinite, and the universe waited in awe for what would come next. Centuries of obscurity and secrecy could not suppress the power destined to awaken. The Chosen One stirred from a deep, almost mystical slumber, carrying within them the forgotten lineage of a civilization that had shaped the world long before history recorded it. This awakening was not gradual. It was a sudden surge of consciousness that resonated with the echoes of ancient empires. Artifacts, tombs, and sacred texts that had long been dormant now pulsed with significance. The Chosen One's very presence activated hidden symbols and long-sealed scrolls, confirming their rightful place as the heir to a legacy thought lost. Archaeologists and treasure hunters, once skeptical, could hardly contain their astonishment as centuries-old prophecies began aligning with the reality of this awakening. Emotionally, the world felt the weight of this resurgence. The Chosen One's arrival sparked waves of curiosity, fear, and hope across nations. People sensed that the past had returned, carrying wisdom and power that could reshape lives, societies, and the very trajectory of human history. The awakening also had a ripple effect on spiritual consciousness. Priests, mystics, and shamans reported experiences that defied explanation, visions of divine beings, whispers of forgotten wisdom, and a sense of unity with forces far beyond human comprehension. The Chosen One had become a living bridge between humanity and eternity. Ultimately, this awakening signified more than personal power. It heralded the return of a lineage whose destiny had been carefully preserved through time. The world had been quietly waiting for this moment, and now that it had arrived, nothing would ever be the same. From the first moment of recognition, it became clear that the Chosen One carried more than legacy. They bore a genetic and spiritual heritage capable of reshaping existence. The bloodline traced back to divine pharaohs, whose deeds were enshrined in both history and myth, carrying dormant abilities that now surged forth in full force. Each trait, from extraordinary perception to resilience against the limits of mortality, had been preserved through generations, hidden from the world until the prophesied time.